Hello, thank you for your company on this Monday evening. She became known as the Lady of the Hills. Now, North Yorkshire Police hope they're one step closer to solving the death of a Thai woman whose body was found almost 20 years ago. Lamduan Armitage died in mysterious circumstances. Let me take you back to 2004. Her body was found by a group of walkers in a stream near Pen-y-Ghent. For 15 years, her identity was unknown, and she was buried in a churchyard in Horton in Ribblesdale. Well, in 2019, a family in Thailand read our story about the case, and DNA testing confirmed the body was their daughter, Lamduan. Now police have just arrived in Thailand for the first time and are hoping to solve the mystery. Alex Moss reports.
For years, this is all we knew about Lamduan Armitage. Walkers posing for a photograph stumbled across her half-naked body in a stream along the Pennine Way. A post-mortem could not find a cause of death and hypothermia was ruled out. Mysteriously, she wasn't wearing shoes.
We were left with an unexplained death. And then when you look at the circumstances of where she was, it doesn't seem to strike it sounds silly to say, a natural place to die.
Cold case officers took up the case and re-examined the scene. She was unknown in the area and they felt there was more to her death than an accident.
I came to the conclusion, along with my detective superintendent at the time, that this had all the hallmarks of something which ought to be treated like a homicide, rather than just a body who accidentally come to their death and just not been found.
Suspicions deepened when a family in Thailand said their daughter Lamduan was missing. Sadly, DNA tests proved the body was Lamduan Armitage and the police finally had a name.
We would like to go and speak to the people who knew Lamduan. We can't move forward without understanding from Lamduan's family all the aspects about her life, and particularly the last few months of her life.
Lamduan moved to the UK after marrying her husband David. She had 3 children and was living in northern England before her death. Her husband now lives in Thailand and police are keen to speak to him too.
When you start an inquiry, you don't know where you're necessarily going to end up. It would be a privilege for us to work alongside the Thai police and help, as far as we can, the Sakanya family understand what happened to their daughter. But that's investigation. That's where it takes you.
Lamduan is buried in a churchyard in Horton in Ribblesdale, known simply as the Lady of the Hills. It's the family's dearest wish to bring her home to Thailand and get answers as to how she met her death. Alex Moss, BBC Look North.
Well, the BBC South East Asia correspondent Jonathan Head is in Bangkok. He says Lamduan's family are desperate for answers.
I have to say the family themselves, they live in the northeast of Thailand. They're from quite a poor background, are feeling kind of weary about the length this has gone on, and they're a bit confused as well about what's going to come out of this. They won't meet the police team from North Yorkshire until Wednesday, and the police officers are hoping not just to offer them or at least to talk to them about the proceedings for bringing back her remains, if that's what they still want, but also to find out more about Lamduan herself. They know so little about what led to her death, but the circumstances, they believe, do open the possibility that it was not a natural death, that perhaps somebody killed her, and that's why there's an ongoing investigation. So they want to visit her hometown and talk to her family and relatives to see if that gives them any clues. Of course, she'd been living in the UK for a long time when she disappeared, at the time her body was found in 2004. But also they're trying to see whether they can talk to her husband, David Armitage. He and Lamduan got married in Thailand in the early 1990s and moved back to Britain and were still married, we believe, at the time of her disappearance. He's never said anything about her death or disappearance in public and moved back to Thailand very shortly after the disappearance with the 2 children. He's living here in Thailand now. So I think that's a very important conversation for the police to have, to see whether that will advance their investigation into why she ended up in that very lonely spot in the Yorkshire Dales.
Jonathan Head there in Bangkok, and we will keep you up to date with that investigation. Next tonight, an aid worker from Batley has described the conditions in Turkey as the worst he's witnessed in his 20 years of humanitarian aid. The death toll following the earthquake in Turkey and Syria a week ago has risen to an eye-watering 35,000. It's incomprehensible, that number, isn't it? Sohail Sufi from Batley works for an international relief charity. He's spent the last few days in the Antakya region.
So this is a small village called Overkant in Antakya. This is one of the first villages that we will distribute to here in Antakya, inshallah. This is a Turkish elderly woman who has invited me to see the state of this condition of the home. We are doing some more aid distribution here. As you can see, these people haven't also had aid in a very long time. This is our 4th day, and today has been one of the hardest days since we've been here in the earthquake hit region of Turkey. Today we have been pulling a lot of bodies out of the rubble and performing their funeral rites, their janazah prayers. Today in Antakya, they say that 80% of the buildings have been destroyed or deemed to be unsafe. So many people have been evacuated and they're living in temporary shelters. There's a lack of food. It's one of the most horrific scenes I have seen today.
Well, let's catch up with Sohail. He's currently south of Antakya on his way to a remote village delivering aid. Sohail, tell me, what's the current situation where you are at the moment?
We are a week into the earthquake, and the situation here is that a lot of people are very cold and very hungry because they've been living in tents.
Sohail, you talked in your video diary about pulling bodies from the rubble. Have you ever dealt with a humanitarian crisis like this before?
Yes, so Zaima Charity has dealt with humanitarian crises all around the world. Now, this humanitarian crisis here has been one of the worst, in my opinion, in 20 years of charity work.
And talk us through what you've been doing to try and help those people.
Zaima Charity has been distributing essential aid, blankets, hot food. We're going to these remote areas where they're contacting us and requesting aid.
We've seen the tents, which are now people's homes in makeshift villages. Sohail, what happens to those people now that their homes, their families are gone?
So the next stage now is to start providing hot meals to them because, they are suffering from hunger, and also providing more blankets to protect them from the winter. Then next week, or maybe the week after, they'll be in need of medical aid as well.
And Sohail, how are you doing personally? Because you are seeing a lot of traumatic things out there. How are you dealing with it all?
Oh, I miss Batley. I miss Yorkshire. Who doesn't? So I'm doing fine, but it has been a few days. Just like the rest of the people affected by the earthquake, zero electricity. I'm on my 10th power bank that I bought from the UK. So I myself, I'm doing okay, but I miss my family and I miss Batley.
And what can we do here at home in Yorkshire to help those people that we're seeing on the news?
Here in Yorkshire, in Batley and Leeds area, we need to raise more awareness about this humanitarian crisis and raise as many funds as possible, because this crisis is not going to go away. They're going to be needing our aid. They're going to be needing our support for the next 6 months, maybe longer.
Sohail, I'm going to let you go. I can see your team are keen to get back on the road. Take care of yourself, won't you?
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
OK, let's bring you some other stories that are coming into the newsroom now. Fire crews are still at the scene of a large fire at a scrapyard in Chesterfield. Derbyshire Fire and Rescue were called to Armitage Industrial Estate in Old Whittingham just after 6 a.m. At least 6 fire engines are still at the scene. No one has been injured. There's no indication yet of how that fire started. Campaigners raising money in a bid to buy woodland near Otley have passed their original target of £100,000. The group have raised over £125,000 in just a week, with the hope of buying Eastwood in Weston for the local community, as well as protecting the natural site. Today, campaigners thanked thousands of supporters who donated to the bid, which closes tomorrow. Now, debt charities are calling for more funding and support as they face what's been described as a tidal wave of clients struggling to manage their finances. Leeds-based organisation Money Buddies says demand for help is up 300% in 2 years. BBC Cost of Living correspondent Coletta Smith has more.
Good morning, Money Buddies, how can I help?
I could tell you about the record number of clients debt charities helped in January, but you wouldn't be surprised.
How many times have you been to Full Bank?
I could show you what life is like for those struggling under a debt mountain, but you've heard it before. Instead, I want to introduce you to Di Forbes.
Really lovely to meet you. Thanks for letting me spend a day with you.
I asked if I could tag along with a debt worker out on the road, seeing what she's up against and what she manages to achieve in a day.
Every day is different. Everybody's problem is different because everybody is different.
Our first stop is a Trussell Trust food bank in Gipton, and it doesn't take Di long to get cracking.
I visited the Full Bank this morning. You've got sorted out there.
I leave her to it, as we've agreed we won't identify any of the people she's talking to today. Most are very vulnerable.
If I send you a copy of this, you know to just look down until you find the page that you want, don't you?
Then she gets a message from an elderly client she's been helping.
He's just sent me a message to say, thank you, it worked. Please can you send them my bank details? I don't know how to do it, but thanks for everything. So that's £200 he's gained.
She's still buzzing as we hit the road again.
I like the wins. I like it when somebody gets what they deserve, what they need, makes them safe.
And that's what fuels her through the tougher moments.
Last week when I was in Armley, there were 8 people waiting for me and there was a 9th arrived after about 2 o'clock. It's always very busy.
And today's no different.
We've had 2 ladies who have needed fuel and food. One lady with an 8-week-old baby who's needed, well, she's had no fuel at all, so we've sorted that out as an emergency. And I don't know what's waiting for me now.
An hour or so later...
Are you struggling to pay it?
And everyone's been seen, but that's not the end for Di.
To be honest, it's exhausting.
So at least it's not raining.
While Di is tired, those who managed to see her left a little lighter, with their finances a little clearer.
You take care.
You're very welcome, darling.
And whatever tomorrow brings, she'll face
We'll be
it,
in touch.
one client at a time.
Going now, see ya.
Coletta Smith, BBC News in Leeds.
Let's talk now to Salim Shafi. He's the Deputy Chief Executive of Money Buddies. We've seen the wonderful work that Di does. How high is demand?
Demand is through the roof. It's not just through the roof, it's going to outer space. We had a 300% increase in the number of people who need help over the last 12 months, so it's very, very, very high. And that's very, very scary because we've got the same levels of resources and we just want to help as many people as we can. And you've probably seen from the piece just how stretched Di was. And that was not as busy day as usual, to be fair.
And what's the most common issue that people are coming to you with?
Yeah, there's a number of issues. I mean, obviously post-Christmas, you know, the people paying for Christmas, they've got into debt, the credit card debts are getting higher. Energy, of course, is a big one. There's not enough money for energy, there's not enough money for food. We're seeing people who are really, really struggling just to make ends meet at the moment.
And what practical advice can you give for someone whose outgoings are overshadowing their income?
Yeah, it's a really difficult one because what we're finding as well is that many people we see now, many people we help now, just don't have enough money coming in simply to meet the basics in life. So something is going wrong in terms of pay or in the benefit system. So but one of the things I would say is always get advice. And the reason why I'd say that is because fundamentally, when you get advice from an agency like ourselves, and there are other great ones in Leeds too, is that you've got like a force field of protection around you, and you also get to know what your rights are. And sometimes you just don't know what your rights are. That can make the difference between the way a creditor, an organisation you owe money to, behaves with you. So just get that advice. But the other thing I'd say is if you're not sure, just check to see if the government owes you any money, because there are, even our pension benefits could be higher, there are many people who still could claim even more, and we have found that significantly in our last 6 months.
Yeah, that's a common issue, isn't it? People not knowing what they're entitled to.
Yeah.
We've seen Di. She cares about the people that she's trying to help. There is no shame in asking for help, is there?
There is no shame in asking for help. And so many people, when we've helped them, our clients, the people we help, will say to us, I wish I'd come to see you sooner. You know, I can sleep better now. I know what my rights are. I know where I stand. I know how to speak to some of the companies that I'm dealing with. But I sleep better and I can live better.
Well, hopefully some people watching tonight will sleep better as well after getting in touch with you. Salim Shafi, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, you may remember recently we featured former munitions worker from Featherstone. Well, she has now been honoured for her role that she played in the Second World War. Lots of you got in touch after we featured 102-year-old Bessie Allen on the programme. She said her job in a weapons factory in Boston Spa was dangerous work, but she was really proud to be part of helping defeat Nazi Germany. Nicola Rees has been back to see her again.
We knew it was very important work. It was secret. A former munitionette who worked with deadly explosives during World War II. That's me. Hello, I'm Bessie Allen and I am 102.
She's very modest. She doesn't emphasise how dangerous it was. My name is Jean Jarvis and I'm proud to be Bessie's friend.
I don't think they could have won the war without people like us. It's really forgotten about. We haven't had any recognition for what we did. Come in.
Bessie.
Come in, Nicola.
So Bessie, so many people got in touch after hearing your story.
Did they really?
Yes, you know they did. They all wanted to thank you for your contribution in the war. And can you tell us about what has arrived this week in the post?
This badge came. It's an official thank you for the work I did during the war.
And what else came with it? What's this?
Oh, yes. This is a letter from the royal household. I never expected this after all these years.
I'm very proud of you, Bess, because you're a special lady.
I was 19 years old and I was making weapons that were going to help the Allied forces win the war. I do realise now what a dangerous job it was when I think about it. And lots of people were like me. We didn't wear a uniform, so we weren't acknowledged. It means an awful lot to me to know that I've been recognised after all these years.
Now, tomorrow is Valentine's Day and the Dogs Trust is hoping someone will finally fall in love with Billy. Oh, he's cute, isn't he? He's been waiting almost a year to find a home. They've seen a steep rise in dogs arriving at the centre in recent months as their owners simply can't afford to take care of them anymore. Michelle Lyons has more.
Billy has been living at the Dogs Trust in Leeds for almost a year now. He has an abundance of energy and loves to go for walks. And at 11 years old, he still thinks he's a pup.
Hi, Billy. Billy, hi.
His best friend, Sally, comes to walk him regularly. She's a volunteer here and hopes someone will fall in love with him soon.
Billy is just a typical terrier. He's so bubbly and he's so full of fun. And he's just into everything, and he's just such a joy to be around. He's just a happy little man. He's just so lovely.
And if you think Billy looks familiar, he has been compared to another famous terrier on the telly.
Now, apparently it looks like Hackattee Dog from CBBC's. I've never seen it, but that's what people say he looks like. And he can be just as entertaining.
Well, get all right, car, 'cause it's a summertime and anyone can see. It might be on our side, but there's no one cooler than me. All right, car, 'cause it's summertime, so no more clouds and snow. So stick around and stay in the sun, 'cause we need a lick more fun.
Good boy. Billy's one of 84 dogs currently being cared for by Leeds Dogs Trust, and there's a growing waiting list. They receive around 20 rehoming requests every day. So finding permanent homes for dogs like Billy has become even harder.
I just love somebody to come up and just fall in love with him and just see what lovely dog he is and eventually just give him his forever home.
Sally is confident someone will fall for Billy sooner or later, but for now, she's happy to take him out this Valentine's Day. Michelle Lyons, BBC Look North, Leeds.
There's even a slow motion shot. Someone's got to fall in love with Billy after that. You were cooing over him there.
I don't think Billy will last long, do you? I think he'll be snapped up in the next
Not by you,
24
though.
hours. No, I've got enough with Dave. Thank you very much for that. Now then, it was a slow thing, the cloud breaking up, but eventually we all saw that sunshine. Let's have a look at a few pictures sent in. That's Castle Hill. You see the gorse is coming out there with a bit of spring sunshine or late winter sunshine. That's a lovely shot. Sandy Sea in the sunshine there. It came out in Penistone late this morning. And this was Meltham with the cloud just beginning to break up at around about 9:30, 10 o'clock. So that blue sky moved through, and I think for tomorrow there'll be lots of it. There's the addresses if you want to send your pictures and get them on the telly. So the headline tomorrow is very nice. There could be some fog patches first thing, but once the fog goes, there will be lots of sunshine and a little bit of warmth in that sun too. Wednesday then, a sunny morning. This very weak front will bring a bit of patchy rain for a time through Wednesday afternoon. This feature quite weak and innocuous, but it will bring cloud and a little rain and drizzle before the sunshine returns on Friday, but with that we'll have a strong to gale force westerly wind. Now there's the back edge on the early afternoon satellite picture. That cloud is now in the North Sea, so it's clear out there at the moment. It's a very pleasant evening. Temperatures are dropping away. Later tonight we could well see some low cloud mist and fog. Particularly prone areas, the Vale of York, of course, perhaps parts of the Vale of Pickering, the Trent Valley, and a widespread slight frost, lows of -1 degree Celsius. So tomorrow's high water times, a lovely day along the coast, 9:47 and 10:20 in Bridlington. So a grey start in places, but I think many of us will be off to a sunny start. That fog going latest late morning, I think, and then lots of sunshine, a bit of patchy cloud coming into the Pennines later on. But I think if you're out in the sunshine, you'll just feel a bit of strength coming through. 12 Celsius, perhaps 13 in Huddersfield and Doncaster. That's way above the mid-February average. So a little bit mixed on Wednesday, a lovely sunny morning, a little patchy rain later, a bit grey and damp on Thursday, fine on Friday. The main thing to pick out, though, is the level of temperatures. The average is 7 for mid-February. We're well into double figures throughout the next 6 or 7 days. That's the forecast.
Looks glorious. The weather can really make or break a half-term holiday.
Oh, it can.
So you're in the good books with all the parents out there.
Thanks.
Thanks for that, Paul. Well, that's it from us. Kathy Booth is here with your late news this evening. Enjoy. Bye-bye.